Can Scotland actually beat England? Stick around to find out my thoughts. So welcome back to the channel. My name's Gary, and if you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. And today we're going to be previewing the England-Scotland match, which is obviously going to be taking place tomorrow night at 8 PM. Big game, one of the biggest games of my life. I cannot wait. We've all been waiting for it ever since these fixtures were announced. This is a huge game. Disappointing that Wembley's only going to have 20-odd thousand, but it's still going to be one of the loudest 20-odd thousand fans you've ever seen, including, I think, the 3,000-odd Scotland fans that have got tickets for the game. So let's get into this one. Let's take a look at the two squads and let's see who, I will give my prediction on what I think the score will be at the end. So first and foremost, obviously, Scotland can win this game. It's a game of football, it's 11 aside, and it's technically, it's a derby, isn't it? It's as close to a club derby as you can get in international football, and anyone who knows anything about football will know that derby means form, quality, everything goes out the window. Both teams will be really up for this. Scotland, I'm sure, will improve on their game that they had against the Czech Republic. Having said that, I thought actually Scotland played quite well from what I saw, and probably a little bit unlucky to lose 2-0. England, obviously, they were coming off the back of some, an impressive result themselves. So a 1-0 win against Croatia where they actually looked quite comfortable, never looked in doubt. Obviously, England are also at home, and I still think they've got a lot of their best players to, to come forward and actually make an impact in this tournament. I think, like I said, initially, obviously, Scotland can win this. They can get a result. Is it likely? I would say not. I do honestly make England heavy favourites for this. I'm hoping we'll thrash them, but I'll come on to my score prediction shortly. But let's just take a look very quickly at who I think some of the key players are for each team. Looking at England's, obviously Southgate really threw out, an unusual starting 11 against Croatia. Nobody called it. So the big decisions initially are, is Mings going to stay at centre-back if Maguire's fit? I think Maguire's come out today and said he is fit to play. Left-back, is he going to bring in an actual left-back? Because obviously Kieran Trippier played there. Is he going to bring back Luke Shaw or Chilwell even, a left-footed player? Most people think he will, but I think anyone who's guessing Southgate starting 11 now is better luck to them, because I haven't got a clue. The other thing is, will players like, Phillips, for example, you got Phillips and Rice, another player, similar situation with Maguire at centre-back. If Maguire is fit, does he come in, considering how well Stones and Mings did together? And the same with Henderson. Does Henderson now automatically come back into the squad if Phillips and Rice played so well together in the last match? I'm not so sure. They played absolutely fantastic, both Mings and Phillips. So, I'm not sure where Henderson or Maguire would actually fit at the minute. The other thing is obviously Raheem Sterling, Harry Kane, Foden, the front three. Will he change those? You expect Kane to start again. However, will he go with Sterling again? I think he will. I think he should. I think Sterling's earned his place. However, looking at Foden, he had a good first half, but obviously he did tail off a little bit as the game went on. And obviously people are calling for Jack Grealish. At the minute, you feel like Rashford isn't fully fit or not on the best form. And Sancho, obviously against Croatia, didn't even make the match day squad. So I feel like if anyone else, there may be a change there. He may play Grealish. People are saying it's probably more likely to be a game for a player like Grealish. Obviously, both sets of teams are going to be up for it. Grealish is going to be able to draw those fouls from the Scottish players, irritate them, get in the nerves a little bit, so he probably would be a good player for this. However, let's be honest, if he went for exactly the same starting lineup he did against Croatia, I don't think anyone would be moaning because they were brilliant. You can't fault the performance last week. Looking at Scotland, though, obviously, they need their players, so they need Robertson to play, incredibly well, and then obviously the other play. So I know a lot of Scottish fans were dismayed that Shea Adams didn't start. Obviously, I think he's going to start now. They just need to shut the kitchen sink, really, at England, don't they? So they've got McTominay, obviously, has to have a good game. And then, obviously, the big player that, from what I've heard, is that a lot of Scottish fans can't wait to see it, and they feel that's going to make the difference for them, is Kieran Tierney. Whether he does or not, I don't know. I mean, obviously he's a very good player. Having said that, with that squad, even with Billy Gilmore, obviously Scottish fans are calling for him to be given the nod as well. And obviously Scotland have to go for the win. I think that is an important thing we need to consider here. Scotland now in a position where they have to get a result. I think, you look at would a draw be enough? And hope, are they then going to try and get a result against Croatia? I'm not so sure. I think the sooner you try and get those 3 points, the better. But they're in a tricky position now, because if Scotland come at us, I honestly do think we'll tear them to pieces. We will absolutely tear them to pieces. But they've almost got to. And I think, given the way the first 2 games have gone, what I mean by that is Scotland's game and England's game, and the positions both teams are now in, I thought England were heavy favourites going into the tournament. Clean slate, no games in. But I think, having said where it's gone now that Scotland have lost their first and England have won their first, I believe it just makes England even more favourites. I don't think Scotland can afford to sit back. I really don't. I don't think they can. Croatia aren't a team where you put all your eggs in one basket and think, oh, we'll go and nick a win against them. Croatia are just going to be as tough for us against Scotland, is what we will be. So I can't see Scotland relying on that game. So they're going to have to come out and attack England, and I think that's just going to open them up. Particularly at Wembley, the pitch size, obviously the fans behind them, the home advantage. I think with probably the players that England are going to have coming in as well, with less pressure on them, a draw, let's be honest, will be enough for England to qualify. Probably, a lot of people are saying 3 points probably going to be enough to qualify, but I think obviously 4 would guarantee qualification, at least in the 3rd place. But I think England... I ultimately now think England will run away with this game. I really do. Like I said at the beginning of this video, obviously Scotland can win. It's a game of football. Like I said, derbies are derbies. But I think, given the nature and how we're sitting now, I think this is England's game most certainly to lose. England are going to have a really, really poor game. And Scotland are probably going to have the best game they've had in 10, 20 years. For them to win, at Wembley. I really do believe that's the case, and I can't see it happening. I think, obviously, Scotland want to come out and prove a lot. There's a lot that, they were so disappointed. I was a little bit disappointed for them. There was all this build-up, all this years of waiting, and they go and concede, let's be honest, to go on to the tournament, and a pretty crap goal from across, and miss a load of sitters themselves. So I expect Scotland to be a challenge. I expect them to come at us more than Croatia did. From a defensive point of view, as weirdly as it sounds, I expect Scotland to be more difficult for us to cope with. But I think because of that, because they'll be coming at us, because they'll have to, I think it's there for England just to literally pick them apart. And Southgate, obviously, has got multiple options. So if one way isn't working, he can swap it round. He can bring on fresher legs. I mean, I don't see how Scotland are going to be able to cope with English players and any substitutes coming off the bench for the whole 90 minutes. I really don't. So I'm going to go with, I'm going to put my neck on the line, I'm going to go with a 2-0 England win. I think we'll keep a clean sheet, and I think we'll hit them on the break. I think we'll still control most of the ball, but like I said, I think as the game goes on, they'll have to come at us a little bit, and I think we'll just get in behind them, particularly if Sterling plays. And Grealish will just cause them all sorts of problems if he starts. But if not, even with the team we've got now, if Phillips plays anywhere near like he did, I think he'd be too much for Scotland. And I'm, and I never thought I'd say this, I am quite comfortable coming into this game believing, and this may come to bite me, but I believe we will comfortably win this game. But like I said, anything can happen, and that is why, I would really recommend anyone who's not English or Scottish fans tune into this game tomorrow night, because I promise you it's going to be a treat. It's going to be a big game. It's going to be, from our fans' point of view, it's going to be one of the biggest games of the tournament, even if we get to, quarterfinals, semi-finals. It's absolutely devastating for England if we lose to Scotland at Wembley. Make no mistake, if we lose to Scotland at Wembley in the European Championships, it'd be one of the worst results. It'd probably be the worst result in my lifetime as an England fan. I don't think we'd ever live it down. So that's the incentive for Scotland and their fans. But I do think England will win comfortably. So like I said, I'm going to go for 2-0 England. Come on, England. I cannot wait. One more sleep to go. This time tomorrow, we'll know the result. What I'm going to be doing as well, I'll be posting, again, my post-match analysis of the game. So I'll give my player ratings, reflections, hoping it's going to be a happy video and England will have qualified. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me, and see you on the next video.